Hey everyone, welcome back to our Explainer series. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating, the hidden dynamics of our classrooms. I want you to imagine the classroom not just as, a boring room with four walls, but as this vibrant, complex theatrical stage. Every single time we teach, a live play unfolds where everything is deeply interconnected. It's a living, breathing ecosystem. So get ready, keep an open mind, and let's dive right into this. So I want you to think about this for just a second. What actually makes an English class completely unforgettable? Think back to that one teacher who completely changed your life, or maybe a specific lesson you still remember clearly to this day. Was it just because the teacher was super charismatic? Was it the energy in the room? Or maybe the activities you did? Well, the data actually shows that the magic doesn't come down to just one thing. It happens when there's this perfect, carefully pre-planned alchemy between the teacher, the student, and the lesson plan itself. To figure out how to actually pull off this magic, we're going to look at three main things today: the types of teachers and the roles we play, the types of students we teach, and finally, the parts of a lesson plan. All right, Act 1, the actors. Let's take a close look at the different roles of the teacher. As teachers, we're never just static figures in the room. We are definitely not just grammar vending machines. Throughout a standard 50-minute lesson, an effective teacher assumes an immense, almost surprising variety of roles, and honestly, we usually do it without even realizing it. Before class even kicks off, we're the planner, mapping out every little detail. Then, once we step into the room, we're the informer, dispensing knowledge, and the manager, organizing the actual physical space. But it goes way deeper than that. We are the monitor, checking in on group work, the involver, making sure that shy kid in the back actually participates, and sometimes we're even the parent or friend, comforting a student who's feeling frustrated. And of course, we can't forget the diagnostician, figuring out exactly why someone isn't grasping a concept and acting as a true resource to help them out. In the real world, you are almost always juggling these roles simultaneously. Like 1 minute, you're the manager, literally moving desks around to get everyone focused and optimize their attention. And then boom, at the exact same time, you're the informer, standing up at the board, guiding the energy of the room, and presenting a totally new concept with a smile. The classroom is literally your stage, and you're controlling the flow with complete natural ease. But here's the thing. While you're juggling all of these hats, there is one specific interaction that requires, well, almost surgical precision: correction. Correcting your students is always a super delicate event. The absolutely crucial point here is moderation. If you play the role of the harsh critic, you run this massive risk of completely demotivating the student. But, and this is a big but, if you swing to the exact opposite extreme and praise them constantly for every little thing, you risk creating dependent learners. Those students who need the teacher's approval every single time just to feel secure. It's a continuous balancing act. Moving right along to Act 2, the co-stars. It's time to meet the students. Now, usually when we plan, we tend to lump students into these big generational buckets: children, adolescents, and adults. And sure, understanding these stages helps us structure our materials, but watch out for generalizations. An experienced teacher knows there's a huge degree of individual variation. You could totally have a teenager with the intense, laser focus of an adult, or an adult who actually really needs the playful, hands-on interactivity of a child. We should never, ever rigidly typecast our co-stars. Okay, beyond just how old they are, the real game changer is what actually drives them to be sitting in your class. Are they there because they genuinely want to be, or because they have to be? This brings us to the split between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic learner, they're studying for pure pleasure. Maybe they're obsessed with traveling, they love playing online video games, or they just want to use social media in English. Extrinsic motivation, though, comes from the outside. They're studying because it's a mandatory requirement for school, or maybe they need to pass a test to get into a specific university. Understanding which way your class leans dictates exactly how you need to present your information to keep them hooked. And cognitively speaking, a one-size-fits-all approach is practically guaranteed to fail. We all have different learning styles, and each one demands a totally distinct type of activity. Visual learners, for instance, they need to read, look at diagrams, or watch films. Auditory learners thrive when they can listen to recordings or get into deep discussions. And then you have the kinesthetic, or concrete learners. These guys need physical simulations, role plays, or hands-on discovery. If your entire class is just you standing at the front talking, you are immediately losing a massive chunk of your students.
So in a truly diverse classroom, everybody is processing your lesson in their own completely unique way, all at the same time. While one person is totally immersed in reading, absorbing everything visually, another might be thriving by listening carefully through headphones, really leaning into that auditory style. And someone else might need to be actively talking or reflecting. Our job as teachers is to design a lesson plan that's basically a varied menu, offering a little something for each of these styles at different moments during the class.
Which brings us to our third and final pillar. Act 3, the script. Let's break down the anatomy of a lesson plan. Now, a really rock-solid lesson plan doesn't just start with a random list of fun activities. It's got actual architectural components. First up, it starts with assumptions. This basically means figuring out what we assume the students already know how to do. For example, before I can teach them how to describe the rooms in a house, I have to assume they've already mastered colors and maybe the present continuous tense. Building right off that baseline, we define the class description, and finally, we choreograph the interaction patterns. That class description step, it's absolutely vital. It is not enough to just scribble down group of 15-year-olds. It's about really documenting the personality and the reality of the room. There's this fantastic example from the research involving a teacher named Mike Parker. In his lesson plan, he notes that his high schoolers are 15, sure, but he adds this critical context. Classes start at 7:45 p.m. The students are usually quite tired and tune out easily. Now that is a real description. Knowing that, he knows for a fact he cannot just give a dry, theoretical lecture at that hour. He absolutely needs high-energy interaction. And when it comes to actually planning out the physical movement and the dynamics of the room, we use these great little visual shortcuts called interaction patterns. Instead of writing out these long, confusing paragraphs, a simple universal symbol might just indicate that, hey, it's time for group work, signaling you as the teacher to take a step back. Or a quick structural diagram can map out exactly how information should flow directly from you to specific individuals. Having these patterns detailed out ensures the class keeps a really good rhythm and that the energy of the room fluctuates correctly.
But after all this meticulous planning, I love this quote from Jeremy Harmer. He simply defines a lesson plan as a proposal for action. And honestly, that's the biggest takeaway from our entire explainer today. Your plan is a compass. It is not a straitjacket. It tells you how and why you're going to teach something today. But if you're right in the middle of class and you notice your kinesthetic learners are literally falling asleep, or you realize that extrinsic motivation just isn't cutting it today, you ditch the proposal and you adapt. Flexibility is the true mark of a professional. All right, we have unpacked a ton of vital information today. We've seen that the classroom ecosystem survives because of the types of teachers we are and the many hats we wear, the incredible cognitive and motivational diversity of the types of students we teach, and the flexible architecture of the parts of a lesson plan. The next time you stand up in front of your students, I promise you won't just see a simple room anymore. You'll see a stage with literally infinite potential. So I'm going to leave you with this final question to chew on. What role will you play in your next class? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.